beauties. We're moving right along to card number 1, the Magician. So as always, we're going to begin by moving through the aspects. What is it associated with? How does it look? What's the picture? What's the symbolism? But also, now that we're moving into it, we also need to consider the card that comes before and the card that comes next. That'll help us as we move through the cards to just remember where we're at. So we just left the Fool. New beginnings, being optimistic, kind of that new life or new cycle of some sort. And really having this leap of faith, understanding that we also carry baggage with us as we move into something new, but that we are pure of heart. We shouldn't be afraid of any of the hard times ahead of us, to keep up the faith and take the leap. So now we come to the Magician. I think I have mentioned this before, but I'm not sure if you are fully aware. The Fool's Journey was very popular for a long time. There's a man named Joseph Campbell. He was a, who was he? Was he like a teacher, I think, maybe a professor, but a professor, I think. And he wrote The Hero's Journey, and it is how to write a good story. All the key elements that you need to write a killer story. Obviously, it's the Fool's Journey. And he kind of makes the archetypes as just major events or things that need to happen in a storyline. And one of the people that used this method and had a lot of success with it was, what's his name? The guy who, George Lucas. George Lucas, who wrote Star Wars, definitely used the hero's journey blueprint. And who do you think the Magician is? La, 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 la. So Obi-Wan Kenobi is the Magician. It's like the first person that Luke Skywalker meets in his journey is Obi-Wan. And what does Obi-Wan Kenobi come to do? He comes to teach him the ways of the Force and to teach him to be a Jedi. What does that mean? He teaches him how to use the Force, how to manifest what he wants and use the elements, right? So that's what the Magician is doing. Here he is, he's got a table and he's got all the tools. He's got the pentacles, the cups, the wand, and the sword. He's also holding some type of a sword or something in his hand, and he's pointing it up to the sky, and his other finger is pointing down to the ground. He's got a red cloak on. He's got white clothing underneath that. He's got the infinity sign up over his head. He's got roses around him. So this is very much the Obi-Wan Kenobi. So the Magician comes into the Fool's life and says, great, now that you're here, let me help you, okay? Let me show you the ways of this world. We have 4 elements. These are the 4 elements. He's telling him, so as is above, so is below. As is the macrocosm, so is the microcosm, right? He's teaching him. Red, the ability to manifest. White, purity of heart. The red or the yellow background, sun consciousness, right? As you move towards a world full where you are in the light of your own sun consciousness, will you be able to look at all the flowers blooming? It's fruitful, it's bountiful, it looks gorgeous here. He's saying this is how you can grow your garden, and the garden being your life, your goal, your journey. This is how you grow your garden. This is how you have a fruitful garden. He's giving him all the tools, just like Obi-Wan Kenobi comes and gives Luke Skywalker the fancy lightsaber, and he teaches them all the things. So, the magician. But if we look, we kind of already went into the scene. So obviously he's very focused, right? He's looking directly at you when you're looking at the card, and he's really trying to give you a message. So the idea of a teacher really comes through. And he's in front of a table, and he's got things on his table. So he does look like he's commanding the room. So definitely teacher energy with that garden all along the bottom and the top. I see that as representing success and fruits of your labor, right? That what you put your effort towards, you will see a return on. And he's got all the elements there sitting on his table. Let's look at it a little bit deeper though, what all this means, the symbolism. So it's card number 1, the beginning, right? I know that card 0 is the beginning, but it's more of like that in-between moment. It's not even number 1 yet. Like the Fool it's the leap of faith. It's that moment that choice is made. It's that spark. But the 1 is like, now we've moved into the individual. We've moved into it and we have taken form. So this is kind of like the real beginning. The white clothing, we said, it's purity of intention. And the red robe, the manifestation, the infinity sign, unlimited potential. Red rose is passion. And obviously the nurturing of and the blossoming of passion. The lilies, there's some lilies on the bottom there, representing aspirations and inspirations. The wand in his hand lifted up and the other hand pointing to the ground is saying as above, so below. And then all of the, the cups representing emotions. The wands are passions. The sword are intellect, and the pentacles are resources. And then the white wand, spiritual wisdom. So this is what I wrote. The Fool begins his journey, and the first person he meets is the magician. He comes to share with our hero all the tools of earth and teaches him how to use his higher consciousness, coupled with the elements of human life, emotions, passions, intellect, and resources, to manifest his dreams into reality. When this card appears, I like to say, get some more tools. I do like to say that. I do. This is true. This means, how can you acquire new, tangible, and helpful things? Can you learn something new? Invest or pay it forward for later compensation, or simply can you buy anything that might help the situation? I think the message is that you have to trust your connection with your passions, your intuition, and what you are naturally drawn to, and use whatever is on hand, what resources you have right now to guide your life in the direction you want it to go. This is the archetype who needs a training montage. So true. I'm hilarious. It's true. This would be when the training montage comes on and they're like, da-na-na, da-na-na, and they are trying to figure their shit out. It's like, what can you do right now? What can you do? That's what this card says. So reversed, the magician is the ultimate teacher who unlocks your gifts and potential. When thinking of ways that teachers can be malevolent, I think of being controlling and manipulative. I also think of the negative side of a magician. There is trickery involved. The upright and reversal displays the magician walk. It displays of the magician walk a tight rope between inspiration and coercion. So true, Tracy. So true. This is kind of fun, writing this up and then reading it later. It's so true. So if you just think about the magician, think about Obi-Wan. How could he have been negative? If he started to have a little bit of greed or his own agenda with training Luke Skywalker, that could have gone sour. I'm going to use Star Wars a lot because it's very fucking helpful. If anybody else has any other ideas or associations, then bring them to the table. What I have for classic magicians, obviously Obi-Wan, Gandalf, Dumbledore. So these are these characters that are they're wise, they're teachers, but they're the teachers that are like, they're not the actual in your face everyday teachers. They're the wise ones that step back and really see your potential and allow you to make those mistakes, allow you to learn the hard way, and hold space for you all along, knowing that you're going to make it. That is just one of the best teachers, is someone who can truly allow the child or the apprentice or the trainee or whatever to truly blossom in their own time. And so if that's reversed, then if it's personal and it's reversed, talking about the person you're giving a reading for, like I said, it's time to find new tools. It's time to come to the table with what you can bring for your own solution. It's time for you to figure out the resources that you have and come to the table. But if there's also, maybe it's of a relationship, asking about another person, and this card comes up and it's reversed, I would worry about maybe, a little bit of coercion. What is the motivation behind this person who's helping you or being with you? Because the magician, right? Like I said, there's trickery in it too. And we don't want to gain the things that we seek through pulling one over somebody else, right? So that could be, if that was reversed and it was representing the person you're actually reading, maybe maybe there's some trickery going on there. Maybe trying to get something without being honest, right? Let's go over to some of the other associations. So the Magician, card number 1, element. This is air as well. It says some say earth as well, since the Magician is showing as above, so below, that it's like a combo of air and earth with his fingers pointing at the wand, but I got earth. Also associated with the planet Mercury. And Mercury, just FYI, we'll bring this up, is named for Hermes, not the bag. I love this light on my face right now. But he's the one, the god who he had the wings on his sneakers. That's the one. And he could go between the world of mortals and the world of the gods. He's the only one who could go between both worlds. So he was a communicator. So Mercury is associated with our breath and our communication, our throat chakra, right? Because it's that going back and forth. And Mercury is the first planet. So it's like we have sun and then we have the first planet. So it's almost like that bridge as well, right? Mercury's like, I'm the closest to the sun. I'll communicate for the sun for you. Right? He's like that he's the first one. So Mercury is definitely makes sense for the Magician, because the Magician is trying to show the Fool how he can communicate with the elements, how he can communicate with spirit, and how he can use his higher consciousness, right, which is a form of communication, to get what he wants. So it says zodiac, possibly Virgo. Wasn't very clear there, which I like. I mean, Virgos are really good at taking all the little things, and putting it all together. And that's definitely what the Magician is showing too. When you're training and you're trying to learn something, it's learning all the different aspects of something and then getting the full comprehensive idea of what something is. And then Kabbalah, it's for the letter Beth, and that represents house or temple. Stones would be opal and agate. Animals would be sparrow, the ibis, and the ape. And remember that yes or no question? This would also be yes. Just like the Fool is yes, which I find really interesting. This yes-no thing, it's never been something that I've used, but I think it's really fun to learn together, and it's fun to look at all the different ways that we can use tarot cards. The Fool made sense that it would be a yes, because it's like new beginnings. And again, the Magician, he's all about how to manifest. He got that, a big part is a red table and red cloth that he's wearing, red robe. So it's like, hey, you can do it. You can do it. So it feels very yes to me too. I'm excited to move through some more cards with you. So let's just talk about the Magician a little bit more. Let's say, the last thing I want to point out is, and what comes next. let's say you got this as a card of the day. I would say, okay, you got the Magician for the card today. What does that mean for us? I would say become an observer of what possibilities lay at your feet. Think about what you truly desire, maybe not exactly the physical form, but think about all the different ways in which what you want today can show up. How can it feel? How can it sound? How can it taste, right? What are the elements of what you want for today? And then when you try to recognize when you have the opportunity to use something to your advantage, look for your tools. Look for what is on your side. Look for the things that you can do. Look for the open doors. That's what I would really say if this was your card for the day. Look for the open doors. And don't worry about what it's going to take to walk through it, right? Look for the resources. So next, let's talk about what comes next. The next card, number 2, is the High Priestess. So it's really funny. We have the Fool. He comes in, he starts a new cycle, starts this new life. Boom, meets the Magician. A masculine character, right? Coming in, being like, let me tell you, you powerful, you powerful son of a gun. You can really get whatever you want out of life. And then who does he meet next? A High Priestess. What do you think her message is going to be to him, right? This is the ultimate masculine message, right? You can make a plan and you can be successful. Use your money, use that intellect, go out, and get what you want. Here's all the answers. What would the feminine ultimate message be? That is going to be our next video.